The movie reviewed in this episode is rated R. Listener discretion is advised. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Scary Movie Nights podcast, a bi-weekly podcast where the scares are real, but the friendships are realer. Today, we will be discussing the incredible film that's still in theaters, Sinners. That's Mariana.
And that's Joanne.
And we are your hosts for the night. But first, Mariana, let me ask you, what had you summoning your ancestors this week?
Oh my goodness. I was summoning the ancestors this week because I can breathe through my nose again.
Yay!
Yay!
We love breathing.
Yay! I love being able to breathe through my nose. It's a blessing that I do not take for granted. Joanne, what about you?
Oh my gosh, there are so many things. Now, this wasn't necessarily this week. This was last week, but I'll say it anyway. You remember how I was going to apply for the FBI?
Yes!
I passed my test, my Phase 1 test, which is awesome. And in case you guys didn't know, so like the FBI Phase 1 test has like 4 parts to it, right? It's like a logic and reasoning part. Then there's like a pattern recognition part. Uh-huh. And I think those 2 parts are probably the toughest ones because you get like 12 minutes to answer like 10 questions.
Oh,
I'm sorry. 20 minutes to answer 12 questions.
Okay.
That's what it was. And I mean, the logic ones are pretty tough. Like they're like LSAT stuff, you know, like to where you have to like reason through this like whole word problem, and you don't even get pen and paper.
So how did you do it? Did you like go somewhere to take it?
Yeah, it's at like a testing center.
Uh-huh.
And so like you go in, you know, like how we took our teacher certification exams. Yeah, it's like the same thing. You just go to like a testing center, and you're sitting in the room with like a bunch of strangers at your own computer, and I was dizzy, girl, because I get test anxiety. So I sat down, and it immediately like started the very first part of it is like the logic part of it.
Oh my god.
And I was like, there's so much text. I'm like, can I read? Am I illiterate?
Oh my god, I would panic.
Yeah, and but I got through it somehow. And the weird thing about it is you can mark questions for review. Uh-huh. So I marked like half of them for review, and I was like, maybe I'll get time. Girl, I was taking that test through like the 20 minutes. I used up the entire time. Like, yeah, it was. Do you know
intense. What score you got, or does it just tell you passed?
It just tells me I passed.
Aww.
Honestly, if I get into like the meet and greet and stuff, I'll ask them if they have my scores.
How does that work?
Really
like,
cool.
So you take the test, and like, what are next steps? Do you like interview? Like, how does that?
Yeah, so you pass your test. So first you submit your resume, your application, then they invite you to take this exam.
Okay.
You don't even have to pay for the exam, actually. It's free.
Wow.
Yeah, once they invite you. And you pass the exam, you go to a meet and greet. After the meet and greet, they determine, like, okay, you're good to go. Mm-hmm. They invite you to do your physical fitness exam.
Yeah.
So basically, it's
you
like
got that one
push-ups,
down.
sit-ups. Well, let's
How many do you have to do?
I forget the numbers, but it's not a low number. It's like, okay, the normal person would have to like practice doing push-ups and stuff like that.
I can't do a single one.
Oh no, you would need. So you have to score at least 1 point. There's like sit-ups, push-ups, 300-meter dash, and like a 1.5-mile run, I think it is. It's some distance. And then they have the pull-ups, but the pull-ups don't count against you if you can't do them.
Okay, because I can't.
And then so you have to score at least 1 point in each of the categories. And you have to score a total of 12 points. So it's like, depending on how many push-ups, sit-ups, how fast you run, you get a certain amount of points. So you just have to hit 12 points, but you have to get at least 1 on each of the things. So it's one of those, I have to look at the numbers and make sure I can do all of the things that I need to get 12 points. But so then you do like an interview with a group of agents. Like they all interview you. Uh-huh. And then they do like a polygraph test.
Oh, shit.
To see if you're lying about anything in your application. And then you do, what else do you do? I forget. It's like a conditional invitation to like work for the FBI. Uh-huh. So then they say, okay, on condition that I'm assuming like you pass Quantico training, like you'll be invited to join the FBI. So we'll see. I don't
And then
know.
from there, do they like send you somewhere in America, or would you be able to work here in Houston?
So I think it's like a medical school admissions. It's
Oh
like
my
you pick your like
God.
top 5 locations or something, and then they like
Whoa.
assign you based on need. You don't always get your first choice, so like we looked at the offices actually, and there's one in Houston.
Okay.
So I think I would put Houston as one of them. There's one in Seattle, so we would do
Okay.
Seattle, and there's one in Hawaii.
Ooh.
I told Brian, I was like, I know it's expensive to live there, but like, you want to go to Hawaii, work for the FBI? And he was
Just
like,
like
"I'll go," and-
leave the office, like take
Yeah,
off the 3-piece
exactly.
suit and just surf.
I mean, come on, what else could you want, right? So that's what had me summoning my ancestors this week. I was
Okay.
pleading the heavens for
That's
help on that
awesome.
exam. I was
Just
like, oh my
logic.
god. Yeah, I was like, am I dumb actually?
No,
Well, it turns out I'm not.
I feel you. I'll sit there and I'll read the like AP environmental science questions while the kids are taking the test, because AP Classroom makes them, or College Board makes them.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I don't make them. So they'll be taking the test. I'm like, let me take a look at these questions. And I'm sitting there reading a question, looking at a graph for like 30 minutes. I'm like, what?
But
is
remember when you
this?
could do that though? Like
Yeah.
when you were in high school
No,
and
it's
college
different.
and
I'm
stuff
dumb
like
now.
that?
Yeah.
Like you were so trained, and you don't realize this until you're gone. It's like you were so trained to like read these types of things and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
think critically and analytically
quickly.
and quickly. And now that I'm, 32 and I've been out of school for
Yeah.
10 years, I feel so stupid. And when I
Yeah.
went into the test, I was seriously worried, as I always am, because I get tense anxiety.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I'm assuming some of those skills kind of
No,
stay with
yeah,
you,
you
so.
definitely have some of that still in your
Yeah.
brain, in the gray matter in there somewhere.
So let's celebrate that.
Yes.
Also, if the audio sounds a little weird, guys, just it's because I have to. If you're not watching this on YouTube, I'm holding the mic up right now because it's the bed's fault. The bed. This little like
The bed
half
has
bed
done
that
nothing
we're-
wrong.
This half bed that we're using to record, which is really comfortable. Thank you, bed. The bed frame is not designed to hold.
No,
the mics
it's
up,
definitely
so.
not designed to hold the mics. No.
So I'm holding my mic up now. So anyway, enough about that. Let's extend an invitation
Yes,
for sinners.
come
Let's
right
let sinners in.
in.
Which sounds kind of weird if you think about it.
Yeah, let's let the
Let's
sinners
invite
in.
the sinners in. Yeah.
Listen, we're all sinners.
So this first part is a no spoiler section. I know that Sinners is like out in theaters right now. So if you haven't got a chance to watch it, first of all, how dare you? In my opinion, this is like my movie of 2025 so far, and definitely now one of my top 3 horror movies of all time.
So good.
Like if we were to redo episode 0, this would be in it.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah. Which one would you take
100%.
out?
So you know what's funny is I don't even remember the third one that I
Me
would take out.
I don't remember my 3. I think
my
it was like
third one.
Scooby-Doo, like
It was
spooky
Scooby-Doo,
islands.
yes.
And then I think I had Silence
was-
of the Lambs.
and Child's
Which,
Play.
by the way, and Child's Play.
Yeah.
We watched Manhunter. Manhunter.
Okay. Oh, okay. How
And
was it?
it was really good, but we had like a really heated discussion with some friends yesterday because they were like, Manhunter. There's a show called Mindhunter,
which is incredible.
amazing, and I don't know why they canceled it.
I
But
know.
Manhunter, they were like, Manhunter was better than Silence of the Lambs. I'm like, how dare you? First of all, no. First of all, no.
It's like,
but
okay, well, first of all, post up.
first of all, did it win an Oscar?
No.
No, I didn't. So that's what I thought. Anyway, okay. So top 3.
So it would be, for me, the top 3 in no particular order would be The Witch, Sinners, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I think your third one, wasn't it the one you watched when you were young?
Maybe. Almas de la Medianoche?
Yeah.
That might be
I think
it.
we need to go listen to our
We need
episode.
to listen to our own episode. How well do I know myself? Anyway, so this is a no spoiler section. Definitely watch the movie, but this is safe to listen to if you have not watched it. But definitely go watch it. Okay, Mar, take it away.
Alrighty, so this is the no spoiler synopsis. I've kept it super vague. There's a lot that happens in this movie, but you just have to see it. Okay, so Sinners 2025 is a vampire movie that follows 2 twin brothers, Smoke and Stack, and their little cousin, Miles. That's his name, right? Yeah, Preacher Boy. No.
Sam.
Miles is the actor, Sam. Their little cousin, Sammy, in their endeavor of opening a juke joint. It takes place in rural Mississippi, entrenched in the Jim Crow era. The brothers contend with racism, the Klan, and vampires. which, funnily enough, vampires seem the least scary
Yeah.
of the three.
Yeah.
On opening night at the juke joint, unwelcome visitors arrive and chaos ensues, and also there is music. So, is this a musical?
Is this a horror musical?
I think it's as close as we're gonna get to.
It's kind of a musical. Like now that I think about it, you're kind of right.
It's definitely.
I mean, okay, so it's not in that like the music is.
It's not a musical.
It's not part of the story. Like it's not like there's no dialogue in the music,
yes,
but
exactly.
it is a big part. It
is an integral
of the
part of the story.
Correct.
For sure. So for the cast, this movie has Michael B. Jordan because, of course, it's directed by Ryan Coogler, and anything that he makes has to have Michael B. Jordan in it.
It has Michael B. Jordan and Michael A. Jordan.
I love that. So we have Michael B. Jordan. We finally get to see Michael A. Jordan. He plays Smoke and Stack, and he kills it. Quite
kills
honestly.
It on both, and he I think it goes to show how good of an actor Michael B. Jordan is actually because
completely.
He first of all killed it in Black Panther. He was incredible in that film, which is also a Coogler film, right?
Both of them.
So that's right, yeah. Mm-hmm. And but then he also the two characters were so distinct. Mm-hmm. There was not one time when I was wondering, okay, is that which Smoke or Stack? Because he got the characters down so well. They did an
excellent job with the costume department. Did an excellent job with that.
Yes,
but
the costumes were amazing.
At the beginning, they're wearing like their colors and everything, and you can really clearly tell them apart because of the hats that they wear. But later in the movie, they're kind of removing those parts of the costume, and you're still very clearly like able to tell like which is which. So
yes,
amazing. We have Haley Steinfeld as Mary, Miles Caton as Sammy, and I think this is like one of his first ever like big roles, big performances.
Whoa.
And he's amazing. I mean, he can sing.
His voice is crazy.
Yeah. And then, so he plays Sammy, Preacher Boy, young. And then we have Buddy Guy, and he plays an older Sammy Moore. And Buddy Guy is like a very famous, like, singer and blues singer. And then we have the rest of the cast, which is amazing. Jack O'Connell is Remick, our Irish vampire.
I love the Irish vampire trope.
It's so good. Now, I'm actually going to skip over the themes because I want to talk about the whole movie a little bit more because this one's like super theme heavy. Like, I've never written so much about the themes.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a short non-spoiler section.
Yes.
Just so you know, listener.
I think I'll be able to talk a lot about, like, all of the themes, I think, without spoilers. But I'll talk about production. So there was like early reports that Ryan Coogler was making this film, and there was and it was like a horror vampire flick, and there's a bidding war over who was going to get the production rights to the film and distribution rights to the film. So it was Sony Pictures, Warner Bros, and Universal Studios. So like super big studios. The movie had a budget of $90 million, and Coogler, he set these like really great terms for him. So his terms were to receive first dollar gross. So that means that he's going to profit from ticket sales like right away. Like the first ticket that gets sold, like he's getting a portion of that profit, which I think this leads me to, I don't know anything about anything, but this leads me to assume that sometimes when movies are released, maybe the directors don't get a cut until so many tickets have been sold.
Or maybe until it becomes profitable.
Correct. So
crazy.
He gets profit right away. He also got final cut privilege. So this is the director's cut.
But they must get something at first as well.
I'm sure.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure. Yeah. And then also he gets to own the film after 25 years. Like he gets to fully own it outright. Like it's his.
Good for him.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Warner Bros. Agreed to these terms, and so they produced the film. Shooting began in New Orleans, and they filmed from April to July of 2024. That's like 4 months.
Wow.
And the budget eventually went up to $100 million. And then I'm going to jump down to my miscellaneous section because this movie, I mean, it began filming in, April of 2024, and it released in April of 2025.
Wow.
Yes. It's so like insane the production, and they actually were supposed to be releasing it early in March. So it was supposed to release March 7th, but it was delayed to April, and they actually swapped dates with Mickey 17.
Wow.
Because they shot this in 65 millimeter film.
Yes, okay.
And so they were having delays with like processing all of the film, the literal film.
Whoa, okay,
yeah.
okay.
So they needed more time, so they ended up releasing, I think it released April 18th, which is almost exactly a year from when they first started filming,
shooting.
when they started principal.
Whoa. Well, this goes to show that I don't know anything about anything.
Me
also
neither.
Because I'm like, why would shooting on 35 millimeter film?
65. Did I say 35? 65, something.
Oh,
it was shot
like
specifically for like IMAX, like fancy
you're
cameras.
telling me all these numbers, girl. I don't know anything about anything. Like,
I don't really know.
Say 135 millimeter.
Yeah, I'd be like,
3 mile film. Okay.
3 mile for film. The budget did end up going up to about 100 million, so they, I think, needed a little bit of extra money. But I feel like that's not. Like, there are, like, higher budget films that are coming out recently.
Yeah,
like,
but also, like, yeah, and it's so well produced. Like, when I watch the film, I'm like, that makes sense. 100 million, yeah. Like...
Yeah. And so this is... Let me talk about Ryan Coogler, and then I'll talk about Ludwig Göransson, who did the music for this film. So Ryan Coogler, he grew up in Oakland, California, and he actually went to college on a football scholarship.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was a good football player. He went to college on a football scholarship, but then later on in his career, he started taking film classes, and became like pretty devoted to it. He also directed and wrote. So his first big like feature film was called Fruitvale Station, starring Michael B. Jordan. Music by Ludwig Göransson. Then he did Creed.
These guys must be like
besties.
Buddies, yeah.
Then he did Creed, starring Michael B. Jordan. Yes. Music by Ludwig Göransson. Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Both with... Well, I think Michael B. Jordan was a little bit in Wakanda Forever, right? Because he dies in the first Black Panther. Sorry, that's a spoiler for Black Panther. But both with Ludwig Göransson. And then, of course, Sinners, Michael A. Jordan, Michael B. Jordan, and Ludwig Göransson. He wanted to make an original film.
When you have a good team...
If it ain't broken...
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. He wanted to make an original film after working sort of back-to-back on these two comic book films. I think there was like a Creed in between the two Black Panthers, but... Creed was like an ongoing story, and he wanted to do something like that was completely original. Now, he was inspired by the blues music that his uncle would play, and his uncle was a World War II vet, and Smoke and Stack are World War II vets as well. He was also inspired by gangster rap, like in California, like Tupac, that kind of thing. And then he was just inspired by how blues music has influenced pretty much all music ever since then. Like, from that came rock and roll, from that came R&B, from that came hip hop. And it's all music that has become cool now and accepted by, like, society and, like, the mainstream. But at the time, this music was looked down upon as, like, the devil's music because Black people were making it.
Well, wasn't it also, though, yes, for the older generations, but wasn't there a quote in the movie that was like, white people like the blues just fine until they see who's, like, playing or singing it.
Exactly. And so, like, then you have, like, Elvis, who's, like, an example of this, and, like, he became the king of, like, rock and roll, but he was heavily influenced by, like, blues singers and gospel music, which was, like, primarily made by Black people at the time. And I was just listening right before you came here to an interview with, it was Ludwig Göransson talking to Ryan Coogler. And Ludwig, he's Swedish, so he was also, by the way, an executive producer for this film, as well as he did the composing and he did the score for this movie. And he's done movies. I mean, let me read these out. So let me read about him first. He's a Swedish musician and composer, producer, songwriter, and conductor. Plays several instruments. He has 2 Academy Awards, 2 Emmys, a Golden Globe, 4 Grammys. He's worked with Rihanna. He's worked with Adele. He's worked with Haim. He's worked on films like Oppenheimer. So Nolan loves this man. He's working on The Odyssey, which I'm very excited about.
I'm excited about that too.
He's worked on Tenet, also Nolan, Venom, Turning Red, Which, did you ever watch
No,
Turning
I don't know
Red?
what that is.
Oh my god, it's so cute. It's a Disney movie.
Okay.
Oh my god, it's about this little
yes,
girl that she turns into a red panda. Yes, it's
okay,
so
I know
cute.
about it, yeah.
He's worked on TV shows as well. He worked on Community. He worked on New Girl, The Mandalorian.
I love Community.
Yeah, and he grew up listening to blues music because his dad was a really big fan of the blues.
Whoa,
and
okay.
he talks about how these blues musicians, like Buddy Guy, who's in this movie, they weren't getting a lot of recognition in the States, but they would go to Europe and they were like big hits in Europe and they were like putting on shows in Europe and his dad would go to see them. And so there's just a lot of like intricacies there. And so Ludwig like grew up listening to the blues, and specifically they focus on the Delta blues, which come from like the Mississippi Delta region.
Okay.
And they're like, it's like some of the earliest type of blues music. So what was I going back to? I think that's what I was going to talk about. Yeah. So
Okay.
it was just kind of cool, like how these people are interconnected and how the blues have inspired them to make this. Like, it's almost like life imitates art imitates life, in a way. So
Do you have numbers on what it's currently at for like gross
I don't. Let me look that up.
profit?
So it has grossed over 236 million worldwide.
How much was it? Sorry.
The original budget?
No. It's 100 million budget, right?
Yeah,
And then how much has it made worldwide again?
236.
Wow.
Yeah.
For an original
Uh-huh.
IP, that's actually
Yeah.
really good.
It is crazy, and it's. I mean, it's still in theaters.
Yeah, it's
like
still in
it's still in theaters. Like
Shoot, I'm gonna go watch it a third time.
we meant to go
Look.
see it at, we wanted to see it in IMAX. I'm not sure if it's in IMAX any longer, but I do want to go see it again because I'm a dummy and an idiot and I didn't know that there was post-credit scenes, so the movie ended and we just left.
No, the post-credit scenes are so good.
And I feel like they're integral to the film.
They are. It definitely changes the ending of the
Exactly.
Of the film.
Okay, so I talked about production and music and our director. Let me see. I'll talk about, we know this movie is about vampires. Yes?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, that's not like a spoiler.
I don't think so.
Okay. Remig's red eyes were inspired by the villain Death in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Is that something that
Ryan Coogler said? Yeah.
That's so
confirmed. Now, the vampire lore here is really cool because it's sampled from a lot of different vampires
Yeah.
and different vampire stories. And also, I watched an interview and Coogler said that he's a huge fan of scary movies. So
Oh yeah.
you should listen to our podcast.
Listen, Coogler, make more.
Yeah, literally.
Make more scary movies.
Listen, him and Jordan Peele.
Hello.
Whoa.
That would be amazing.
Okay, so it's sampled from many other vampires, like Burning in the Sun, which, as we know, is very popular, but not all vampires burn. So, like Twilight, they don't burn, they just twinkle and sparkle. And then we have Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I'll talk about more in a little bit. Bram Stoker's Dracula, he doesn't die in the sun, he's just like weakened and kind of bothered by it. Some do die in the sun, so like Vampire Diaries, they'll burn. Nosferatu dies in the sun.
Yeah.
And then also having to ask to be let in, that's also from Dracula, so Bram Stoker.
Oh, okay.
Now the inspiration from the vampires, he took inspiration for the vampires from Salem's Lot as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's Stephen King's book. And then he was heavily influenced by Bram Stoker's Dracula, who was an Irish, was an Irish journalist. And so I didn't know that he was Irish. And it's sort of speculated that Bram Stoker, who, like, his full name was Abraham. When did they start calling him? I don't know. I learned a lot about this man. But apparently, so they thought that the inspiration for Dracula came from Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah.
But they also think that he was inspired by Irish folklore. And Coogler specifically mentions, and I'm going to butcher this name, Abartak, which is a dwarf in Irish folklore who would come out at night and allegedly like drink people's blood.
Whoa.
And they would kill him and bury him, but he would like come back to life until they eventually buried him like upside down, like head first.
Oh.
And then he did not come back. So
Upside
a lot
down.
about the Irish in here. Another fun miscellaneous fact is that the working title for this film was Grilled Cheese. So they didn't have a title for the film, so they were just calling it Grilled Cheese. It was a code name.
Yeah.
And the idea is he wanted to make something fast that would taste good. Which makes sense. I mean, they made this film in like a year. From principal photography to release. It was like about a year. So I think they nailed it with the grilled cheese. I mean, and he talks about, he's like, who doesn't love a grilled cheese sandwich? Like, it always sounds
really
good. It's
crazy
easy
that
to make.
It took such a short amount of time and to make such an incredible film.
Yeah.
I mean, that baffles me, to be honest.
I think so. Yeah. And it's so good in so many layers. So I'll start talking about the themes. Huge one, colonialism. And so I want to talk a little bit about the Irish and their history, which I loosely read about, and I'm sure I'm going to get stuff wrong here because there's a lot that happens there. But we have this Irish vampire, and the Irish people, like, they were under colonization from the British, and their fight for independence was, like, long and hard.
Yes.
There was lots of massacres. There was the famine. You know, everyone knows, like, the Irish potato famine. That was due to, like, the potato blight. And the English could have stepped in and helped, but they did not. So, like, fewer people could have died. And so we see this vampire who's been colonized before, so he knows what that's like to be under someone else's, like, hand. But he kind of becomes a colonizer in this quest to kind of, like, free people and the Irish
create his own community.
Exactly.
Basically.
The Irish were under British rule for many years. There were many revolution attempts, which failed, and as a result, the British would come in and, like, they would do, like, a show of force, so they would, like, massacre to control the Irish people. There's also the loss of the Irish Gaelic language, which was the main language spoken on the island, and now it's English, and not a lot of people speak Irish Gaelic. And I think it's making a return and a comeback because it's the loss of this thing that was, like, so integral to their culture. Hozier has a really good song about it because he's Irish. I think it's called Butchered Tongue, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great song. Great album. Unreal on Earth, by the way. The famine due to the potato blight, that could have been helped by the Brits, but they did not. And Ireland, they did not gain independence until 1921.
Okay.
And at that point, what they did is they partitioned all the different counties. And Northern Ireland, it was like 6 counties, actually remained part of the UK. And the other counties were, like, an independent state now. And so immediately after that, a lot of people were unhappy with that deal because, you know, they wanted a united Ireland. And so after that, there was, like, civil war within the country itself, around, like, the 1920s, like, after their independence. And so you get these things that have happened in many places.
I have known nothing about geography. Is Northern Ireland still part of the UK?
No.
Do you know?
It is not. But I did read a lot about it because that didn't happen until, like, 2007, which is, like, way after, like,
Whoa.
the events. Yeah, no, it's like
you would think modern day, like the boundaries of countries are pretty clearly drawn they're pretty static at this point, you know. But then you have the stuff like, you know, Russia annexing parts of, like, Eastern Europe, and so that's the biggest, I think, part.
Yeah,
and then
and
you
there's,
have,
like, conflict
India
in India right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And, like, China and, like, what is it? Not Taiwan, maybe. There's
Taiwan,
Taiwan. It's everywhere. And so there's this question of, like, assimilation of, like, culture. And we did that here with the Native American people, where we kind of forced our religion on them, and we would reprimand children from using their language, and that happened to the people of Ireland. Also, I think there's themes here of cultural, like, appropriation and, like, culture vultures. And so with that, I kind of was reading about AAVE, which is African American Vernacular English, which is basically, like, it's a way of speaking English that's mainly used by African Americans. And a lot of the time, like, when they speak that way, that makes them, like, people judge them for speaking that way. But a lot of the things that they say, like finna or, like, ain't, or I had, like, a whole list of all this stuff, but that has all begun to be used in
like vernacular.
Yeah, in regular English.
Yeah.
But, like, a white person, if they were using AAVE, they would not be, like, judged for it, whereas a black person might because of prejudice.
Right, it evolves into, like, it's like the cool thing.
Exactly.
Right? Like it's so prevalent.
Exactly. So I talked about that. I also talked about code switching. Do you know about code switching?
Yep, code
So
switching.
code switching, we expect people to code switch to fit in, but yet we are appropriating like this language, this AAVE. And it reminded me of, do you remember Jasmine Crockett? She's like a...
Yes, Jasmine Crockett, yeah.
And she called that, what is it, Marjorie Taylor Greene? She called her a bleach blonde, bad built butch body. She did code switch, and I love it.
That was so iconic.
So iconic.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you, Jasmine, for your contributions. Also, themes in this film, I mean, racism. Their cousin, Sammy, he's a sharecropper. I mean, this is like Jim Crow America.
Most of them are.
Yeah, most of them are, yeah. And, you know, Smoke and Stack sort of, they made it out and they went up to Chicago.
Oh.
Shout out to the new
Speaking
Pope.
of vernacular. Deep dish pizza.
Yes.
The Eucharist is... No, just kidding.
Okay, a couple more themes, and then we can get into spoilers, but there's, like, sin versus righteousness. The movie is called Sinners.
Yeah.
And I watched an interview about Ryan Coogler, and they're kind of talking about, like, who decides, like, who's a sinner and who is, like, righteous, or, like, what sinning is, and it's ultimately, like, people who decide. And then he talked about how, like, a lot of churches, like, they would warn against, like, going out and drinking to these music joints or these juke joints because people would spend their money, like, Saturday night, and then they wouldn't have
Tithe
money on Sunday morning.
It's all about the money.
Money plays into it for sure. And then the last theme is vampirism as a metaphor for capitalism, which is a pretty common metaphor. This is a common metaphor made by Karl Marx. And Coogler is from Oakland, where the Black Panthers were born. And he actually, I watched an interview and he said that he lived on the street, like, where the Black Panthers began.
Okay, so I'm interested in that because I've never, like, heard of this metaphor of vampires and capitalism. So
I'll talk about it in just a second. So, and the Black Panthers, they're a Marxist, Lenin, Black Power political organization. Well, they technically are not, well...
Are they? I think they're still around.
I'm sure they're still around, but, like, not like
not
what the original used to be.
Yes, right.
The vampire is often used as a metaphor to critique capitalism, particularly within Marxist theory. This is straight out of Wikipedia. Actually, this is like the Google AI summary. It symbolizes the exploitative nature of capital accumulating wealth through the extraction of labor from workers.
Okay.
Capital, in this view, is like a vampire that lives only by sucking living labor. This metaphor highlights the perceived parasitic relationship between the capital and labor, where capital grows at the expense of workers. So, and this is like a super common, like, metaphor, apparently, that just went right over my head.
Yeah, it goes right over my head.
Me personally.
I mean, okay, I feel like if you're like, okay, vampires are like capitalism, or capitalism is like vampires, and here's how. Like, I can see that, you know what I mean? But if you presented somebody with the idea of vampirism, like, it's not inherently obvious that it is a capitalism metaphor. You know, like, you can compare the two and then you can explain it. But if you just watch it without an idea of what it might be, then it's not obvious.
It's not. And I don't think Coogler was, like, super counting on that because I'm going to send you this interview.
Great.
I don't know who this woman is, but she's a fantastic
Was
journalist.
it an NPR interview?
No.
Oh, okay.
Her name is, I think, like, Fiona something, I want to say. But... I have it linked at the bottom. The links are not labeled, so you just click through all the YouTube links until you find it.
Okay.
But she, like Ryan Coogler gets, like, a little bit uncomfortable, and he's like, I can't really, like, answer your questions, because, like, I'm not trying to, like...
Cancel the film or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
But she's like, you know, like, the Black Panther... She's talking about the Black Panthers, and she's talking about Marx, and he's like, he gets super uncomfortable, and he's laughing, and he's telling her, he's like, I'm loving talking to you, but I can't talk about that. And so I think, like, it is something that's, like, part of his... upbringing and his past. I don't think that he was going out to make a movie about capitalism. I think he wanted to make a vampire movie.
I think it's...
But, you know, inevitably, our experiences and the context that we grew up in, like, that informs everything we do and everything we make. You can't really be objective.
At the same, yes, he was trying to make a vampire movie.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, he brings racism into the conversation as well. He brings colonialism into the conversation. These are very clear themes that he did establish. Like, there were very clear messages that he wanted to send through this metaphor of, like, vampirism and community building and stuff, and music. and ancestry, right?
Yeah.
Like all of that stuff, which I do have thoughts on, but I'm afraid that I'm going to like spoil something, so I'm just
Yeah.
waiting for the spoiler section. But
I
yeah,
think.
he made an incredible vampire movie. Okay, I have seen commentary online that people complain a little bit about the vampires because they call them something, and I forget what it is. But I'm like, I disagree completely. I think the monster, the vampire, is one of the best things about the movie.
I
Like,
agree.
I loved it. Like the way that this vampire was acted, written, everything. I think it's like an incredible
Yeah.
vampire. Listener, we're going into our spoiler section because I think that we're like to talk about the themes.
Yeah.
You can state the themes, but I think to elaborate on the
Yeah.
themes and like really establish like a good conversation, you pretty much have to talk about like the details of the movie. So, listener, as Mariana keeps coughing, we're this wait.
I'm done.
Wait. This is so funny. It's our motif. We have a clap and Mariana's coughs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how we know where we're at.
So, if you have not watched this movie, first of all, like I said, how dare you? Please go watch
Please
it.
go
Support
watch
this
it.
incredible film. We need to support films that are like groundbreaking. And I'm not even worried about overhyping this movie because it deserves all of the hype.
Yeah,
that
an
it's getting.
original. Like, this is an original film. Like,
original
it's not a
film.
remake. It's not a biopic.
Yes.
I'm sorry to biopics.
Right.
I would rather watch a documentary about the person.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I like biopics, but
don't.
there's a lot.
I have to really like the person that it's being made about.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
So spoiler section, beware spoilers ahead.
Spoilers.
Okay, so yes, they have a hive mind, and that is so freaking cool. Like, I
Yeah.
also love that the vampires have a hive mind. It, I think, punctuates the community building aspect of it
Yeah.
because, it's like what he's trying to build is this community where everyone has the same thoughts, right?
Yeah.
And you lose your individualism in a way from that, which also goes back to colonialism,
Yeah.
the point that you made about colonialism.
And while you're losing your individualism, you are fueling this hive mind because you are providing, like, all the good things about you. Because, like, the reason, like, he really wants Sammy because he wants that voice. He wants that singing voice. So he wants to take all these good things from all these different cultures and turn them into something else, and everyone loses their individuality as a result.
I also think that okay, so I have 3 points myself that I wanted to make about this movie, and I'm gonna start with the colonialism aspect part of it, which is like the deepest one,
Yeah.
Even the vampire lamented the loss of his own culture. Like,
Yeah.
he's an ancient vampire is what I'm getting.
He's super old.
He's super old, so he knows like the Gaelic Celtic
Yeah.
culture that he lost.
He's been through all the history I just talked about.
He's
like,
been through all that
firsthand.
history.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And so he like bemoaned the loss of his culture, right? At the hands of some kind of like Christian force that was expanding and implementing these changes. Myself and Mariana, I don't know if you resonate with this, Mariana, being from Colombia, but I'm from Honduras, and almost every day I think about the loss of my Native American culture because I grew up Catholic,
Me
right?
too.
And God, I don't even know how to explain this because I get kind of emotional with it, but I think about it almost every single day of like, how would my life have been different had colonialism not existed? Like, I know nothing of my roots, right? Like, I don't know anything about my ancestors, Native American culture, anything like that. And it is just so sad that we had to live in a time where we can't experience that. I don't know. Like it was in a sense, I don't necessarily mind that I'm not part of that culture, but I'm sad that I don't know anything about it. Like, it was so thoroughly destroyed.
Yeah.
That there's no like trace in my memory of that. You know what I mean?
No, I totally get that. Like, I mean, as far back as I can think, like, no one in my... Because, I think they were both colonized by Spain.
Yeah.
Honduras and Colombia.
Yeah.
So, like, as far as... And my mom is from a really it's like this small town, and the architecture is like super like colonialist, like it's like these white houses, and so yeah, it just feels like whatever Native American roots I have, it's all been so watered down that I feel like I have no like connection to it at all.
Yeah, and
to be
it feels
honest.
like my history is so short.
Yeah, like I can't think, or I know like I have like my grandma, my great grandma, and then my great grandma's parents, and beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Like, so, remember when I was Mormon?
Yes.
Remember that I was
well,
Mormon?
I wasn't there for
right?
it, but I'll never forget
right,
the fact that you were
but
Mormon.
the fact that I was a Mormon. So the Mormon church has a big, and I think this is what actually triggered my thinking this.
Yeah.
The Mormon church has a big ancestry database.
Really?
Because one of the tenets of the Mormon church is that Joseph Smith restored the keys of the priesthood.
Okay.
So you can only get into heaven if you are baptized with this new priesthood. So
and then you get your own planet.
And then you get your own planet eventually. Well, only if there's a lot of conditions to that. But so anyone who was not baptized with this new keys of the priesthood, technically they're not getting into heaven. Mm-hmm. So your job as a Mormon is to serve as a proxy so that the souls of your ancestors can be baptized here on earth, and they can then go to get into heaven. So one of the things, do you know about Mormon temples?
No.
Okay, so Mormons have temples that you cannot get into unless you are a card-carrying Mormon. I'm not shitting you.
Holy
this
shit.
is actually real. So like they give you this card, it's like your temple recommend, and your bishop gives it to you like from your ward. So then you go to I think you have to make an appointment or something, and you go into the, I was gonna say castle, but it's a temple, and you show them your card or whatever, and you go in, you change into like all white.
Yeah.
And like so the idea is you can't get baptized unless you have a body. But how do you get baptized if you're already dead?
Yeah.
So your body serves as a proxy for the soul of your ancestor to be baptized, and that allows their soul, who is in like spirit prison or something, to then go into heaven. Gorgeous ritual. Like I actually participated in this, not because I didn't find my ancestors, because like there's just no record of them.
Yeah.
So
wait, so do you have to like know their names and stuff like
yes,
that?
like
wow.
like you like basically become that like ancestor.
Yeah.
And then they like dunk you in the water or whatever.
Okay.
Which, by the way, the temple in Houston, like it's like a huge goblet, and it's all white. Everything is white, like pristine, and it has like the 4 bulls of, I forget their name, like Jerusalem, Israel, I don't remember, but it's like it represents like the 4 cardinal directions, and it's full of iconography and symbolism, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm telling you.
Do you think there'd be pictures of it online?
There might be, because before they consecrate a temple, they actually give like public tours, and then when they consecrate the temple, it's closed off to the public.
So there's pictures of it on the outside, and it's beautiful.
Oh, it's gorgeous on the inside.
Oh, shit. Wait, is this it?
And there are rooms. Let me see. Yes. Or maybe the 12 bulls. I don't remember. Yeah. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's like insanely... no, it's amazing.
This is insane.
So then you dress in all white, you get dunked in there.
Oh, and they're all like the same. Like, this is Idaho Falls.
Yeah. So anyway, so all of that to say, like, there's this deep connection, like, with your ancestors, to where it's like you're taking care of your ancestors. They have this long, like, the church invests mega money into research for ancestry, because this is one of their like biggest things.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it just makes me think of like, well, I'm glad that y'all have those records.
Yeah.
Because like. And not to bring race too much into this, but it is a big part of the movie. I feel like white people really have like the luck of being able to look back at their records and their family history, like back generations, years. I mean, there's people who know their family crest, for God's sake, from like when they were back in Europe. I'm like, I have no idea who my who my ancestors were.
Yeah.
My father makes jokes of, he's like, oh yeah, you're a descendant of some Mayan prince. Like that's where we get the nose, and that's da 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 da.
Oh my
It's
God.
like, where do you get this shit
Yeah.
from? But like, we don't actually
totally
know.
True.
Like,
I don't know either. Yeah.
he probably knows his grandfather, but beyond that, like,
Yeah.
our history has been lost, you know, and I think that's one of the big themes of this particular movie that just hit me so hard, is like the need for us to like connect with our ancestors and like connect with our roots. Like, where do you come from? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, that's so powerful, and the vampire knows it, and that's why he wants Sammy, because Sammy can summon the spirits of his ancestors. And he wants to, he even says like, I want my ancestors back. I want my family. I
Yeah.
want my community back. And that's why he wants Sammy, because he has this like power, right?
Yes.
And I don't know, it was so emotional for me, because I really think about this a lot, actually, even before I watched this movie. And I think it started with the Mormon Church's obsession with ancestry, to where it's like, if they ask me about my ancestors, I don't even know their names.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it was, anyway, that hit me really, really hard, this theme of colonialism and ancestry and history. But yeah. Do you think about stuff like that?
No.
Yeah, okay.
No, I honestly don't. I mean, obviously I'm not white. I'm Hispanic, but my family, like, our ancestors are probably Spanish.
Yeah,
A lot of them. Obviously there's some person of color in me. I am a person of color.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how to like articulate it, but no, I hadn't really ever thought about it.
And that's also the sad part, like, we don't even know how to articulate that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Logan, do you think about your ancestors?
They're French.
Surprisingly, no.
No.
Okay.
Because
maybe it's
my
just me
parents
then.
are the worst. No, I don't think about it that much.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
should.
I don't know
It's
how
a
many
good
people
question.
think about it. I'm also like low key into like, I'm not a witch by any means. I don't practice witchcraft, but I love the idea of
He's just
practicing
saying that
witchcraft.
he's a witch.
I love the idea of practicing witchcraft, and I think so much of witchcraft too is like what is passed down as well. Like sometimes, especially if you come from like a line of this sounds a little hokey, but if you come from a line of witches, like, you have a grimoire. Like, it's like ancestral knowledge of like where your family comes from, and like what kind of like spells they can do, and all this other stuff. And like, I'm like, I wonder what our grimoire would look like.
Yeah.
Like, we lost the magic, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Native American culture, like, for lack of a better word, was heavily based in spiritualism and magic. And like, that's lost.
Yeah.
That's completely gone. They were persecuted for it.
Yeah.
And magic is a part of this movie as well, you know?
For sure.
Sam has the magic. He's
Yeah,
got the
and
magic.
and the way the movie starts, it starts with talking about how in all these different cultures, like, there are people who can summon the ancestors through music.
Can we talk about that scene, actually? Can we move on
The
to that
dancing,
scene?
which dancing scene? There's two, and they're both great.
No, the biggest one.
Yeah.
When he sings and plays music for the first time at the juke.
Yeah.
Oh my God. To where he like, they bring in like the ancestors from the past.
Yeah.
But then also like
The
the
future.
future. Whoa. I was blown away.
Time
by
is a
that.
flat circle. It was amazing. I
Yes,
was like, whoa.
time is, yeah.
He's just like, this is quantum physics, like
Hello?
something.
Yeah.
Like, he's doing
Quantum
something.
physics.
I also, like, before then, like, because that's not the first time you hear him sing. The first time you hear him sing, he's in the car with
Yes.
Stack.
Yes.
I actually forget which one's name is. But he's in the
think
car
it's
and he
Stack.
starts singing, and Stack just like looks over and he's like jaw on the
Yes.
floor, and it's amazing because his voice is crazy. I mean, this kid is talented.
Like, wow.
And, like, this actor is so talented, and he's new to the scene. Like, he's not, like, I mentioned, like, this is like his first big role, and so it's crazy. But then he starts singing at the juke joint, and it's magical. It's like, it's magical, and it's so cool.
I really enjoy that because, you know, like, especially not being black, it's difficult to relate to the Jim Crow South.
Yeah.
Okay, so having them bring not only like past ancestors, but also like the future, like the DJs and the hip hop music, like, that is so relatable to us. You know what I mean? Because we're living that.
Yeah.
And it helps us connect with all of this timeline to where it's like, whoa, like, we are a part of that too. it's kind of like, did you say time is a flat circle?
Yeah, time is a flat circle.
It's
Everything's happening all the time.
Everything's happening all the time, like, and this is a really cool and interesting concept of physics, and I don't even know if I have the knowledge to communicate it all, but there's theories out there that we as humans perceive time in a forward arrow, right?
Yeah.
Like we perceive time, there's a now, and there was a then, and then there's going to be a sometime in the future. But there's theories out there that just like, what if it just all happened? Like, it's just all happening at once.
Yeah.
And like the way we perceive that, like we perceive a painting, for example,
Yeah.
is just in our brains.
Have you seen Arrival?
Yes, I want to say I have.
It's
Which
like
one?
the alien movie.
Where they teach the writing, the
language?
Yes, the language.
That I feel like that movie speaks to that a lot about
Yeah.
like the perception of time.
Yes.
I remember watching the movie and being like, "Oh my god."
I love Arrival, actually.
Oh, it was so good.
It was an incredible
It was so
movie.
good, but it's like you're shown all these different scenes, and at the end you realize like a lot of the things like have happened or haven't happened, and it just kind of like starts over.
Yes.
It's so good,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, yes, definitely. I try not to think about that because I will have a panic attack.
Everything,
So-
everywhere, all at once.
Exactly.
Yes. Did you know, trivia, because we were talking about the music, that the banjo... Where do you think the banjo originated from?
Well, I mean, I feel like I think of the banjo and I think of like country music, so
Yeah.
like in the South.
Okay.
Like, do you mean like from an instrument?
No, like region in the world.
Oh, region in the world. Well, I was gonna say like the South, but now I want to say something else because you're looking at Canada.
No.
It came from Canada. No,
Western Africa.
really? Okay.
Yes. So it has African roots.
Makes sense.
But it's very interesting that you say that, because when I started looking into it, I also thought the banjo was like, oh, like the South, of course. Like,
Yeah.
you think of
Country music, yeah.
like Deliverance, right? Like,
Yeah.
you think about all the, people in the Appalachians and playing the banjo, but no, it has African roots, and
Yeah.
it was brought here through the slave trade.
Makes
and
sense.
and it was developed into the banjo, and then into the blues, and then we talking about appropriation,
Yeah.
like white country artists, bluegrass, started to adapt it, and then eventually moved into Ireland. So I think it's ironic that
Yeah.
like this Irish vampire is playing the banjo, with his
Yeah.
little trio music group.
Yeah.
They got the fiddle and everything, and
I love that scene because you don't really know anything about the vampire yet,
yeah.
but whenever they start singing, they're like trying to get into the juke joint, and
Yes.
they're like, "Yeah, we sing, we can sing," and they start like
Pick
playing their
poor
little
Robin
song,
Queen.
and you don't know that they have a hive mind yet. So I was like, when did they sit down and practice
Right.
this?
They are so coordinated. Wow.
Yeah, I was like,
The talent.
they put time into this.
Yeah.
When did they do that? It's only been like a day.
But I think that also plays into the cultural appropriation, and there's a lot of that happening here, right? Like that's
Yeah.
definitely one of the major themes of the movie is this cultural appropriation, but then also like violence towards the originators of the music and
Yeah.
the instruments and all that,
Yeah.
right? Which is very, very interesting, and you see that still to this day.
Yeah, for sure. I also love how, like, from the beginning of the film, the twins sort of, like, seal their fate when they buy the juke joint.
Yes.
Which used to be a butcher shop. Or
Yeah.
not a butcher shop, but, like, a...
I thought it was a butcher,
Like, where
a
they
butcher
kill...
place.
Like a butcher... Yes. What are those called? Yes.
A butchery.
A butchery. They would butcher cows, and but it's like almost this butterfly effect because they buy this joint from this white dude
Yeah.
who we don't know but is part of the clan.
Yep.
And
He's not just part of the clan. He's
He's
like
the
lead-
dragon.
He's the dragon. The
Yeah.
Grand dragon.
Grand
whatever
Dragon.
the hell they call
That's
him.
so silly.
I
I'm
have no
so
idea. I don't
sorry.
know.
Why would they call
have
it
no
that
idea.
anyway? He's the Grand Dragon. And the whole reason the vampire ends up at the juke joint that night is because he just so happened to end up at the house of the son of the Grand Dragon.
Yeah.
And that's how he knew to go
Yeah.
there. So from
Wait, I
the
thought it was a
moment...
nephew.
Nephew, yeah.
Whatever. Family member.
Family member. Also, I must say, I loved that the Choctaw, like, vampire hunting Indians, like, they They dip.
Listen.
I kept expecting them. I
Yes.
was like, they're gonna come back.
Yeah,
They're
it's
gonna
like,
save the day.
we don't owe these white people nothing. Let's go.
Good for them. Good for them.
I love you. We're vibing. Like, we're so good together because, like, my other point was the monster and the Native Americans. Like,
Yeah.
I loved it was towards the very beginning. The Native Americans come and warn these, like, two racists that live in the middle of nowhere, like, hey, there's somebody that we're chasing, like, be very careful. And they were like, you can get out now. Like, they refused to listen to them because of their racism, and that is ultimately
they
their
let
downfall.
a vampire in, but they wouldn't let a Native American in.
Right.
I think
who
I
was
said,
like, hey, we're chasing something dangerous, like, be careful. And they're
Yeah.
like, you can go now.
Yeah.
I hate that. Also, I want a spin-off movie about the Native American hunters. I am so into that. Did you notice the eagles or the hawks or whatever circling the house when they were there? I was like, do they have familiars
I
and shit?
want
That's so cool.
a prequel about Remick.
Me too.
Like, this can become some...
First of all, there were so many hot men in this. Like, look, Michael B. Jordan, first of all,
Yes.
thank you very much for all of your contributions to society. Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan.
Goddamn. But also Remick low-key. I'm like, okay.
Jack O'Connell.
Jack O'Connell.
Yes, sir.
Work it.
We love white men.
And a big plus for being Irish. With the accent.
Yeah. The accent, for sure.
I thought the vampire was brilliant. I think
he's so good. The eyes,
so creepy.
it was amazing. The hive mind, crazy.
So I wonder when they get their red eyes, because his eyes were red and everyone else's were blue. And you didn't see this in the post-credit scene, but
Tell me about it, please.
so Stack turns into a vampire, right?
Yes.
And so does his
Mary.
Mary.
I read about it. I
so
left
you
the
know
movie.
about it.
I
Okay.
know about it, and I just was kicking myself, but I read about it.
So their eyes are still glowing blue, even after all that time.
Really?
So I'm like, at what point do their eyes start glowing red? And is that is it like once you hit a certain age, or was Remick like an arc vampire, like one of the originals or something, or I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, that piece of lore, I'm very interested. I'm like very curious about. Like, please, Kugler, can we get some?
I also love that you have to let the vampires in.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's like a decision that you make. To let this
whether it's
in.
knowingly or unknowingly.
Yeah, absolutely. I also wrote, like, I think this is a brilliant depiction of vampires. There's so many layers, and I love seeing vampires in a context where, like, you don't usually see vampires. Like, it's like the Jim Crow South. Like, that's so, like, not like I feel like typically you think of a vampire movie and it's like Romania and it's like dark, or like in Twilight, which I'll bring up again. But it all takes place in like the Pacific Northwest. It's like Forks, Washington, where it's like super rainy and cloudy, and it's like these like darker settings. But you know, here we're like in Mississippi, and it's like it's sunny, it's like bright, and it's hot. And I feel like I think of vampires and I'm like, oh, it's cold. Like, I don't know, it was just kind of like different. And I'm sure that there are
Nosferatu.
Yeah.
You know, you're in like the freezing cold of I forget where he's at. Like,
I think it's Romania. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I forgot.
Romania. Yeah. But yeah, like it's a very dark movie. It's a very cold movie. But the contrast here is the South, where it's hot as hell.
Yeah.
You know those people are sweaty.
And the first time you see Remick, I mean, he's like I don't know where he comes from, and like the sky maybe, but he's like running into this house and he's like burning up, and it's also the house. Like, doesn't it look like the house from
Courage the Cowardly Dog?
Yes. It's literally a house, and it's just like
middle of
nowhere, like full, not a tree in sight for shade. Like, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah. No, yeah, I did think that. That's funny.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the good, the bad, and the spooky?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, cool. Okay, Mar, so what's your good?
Okay, my good, I gotta talk about, which we haven't already, but the scene where Smoke and Stack passed a cigarette at the beginning of the film.
Right.
First of all, so Stack, he became a vampire, right?
Yes.
Okay. Stack was the one who rolled the cigarette at the beginning of the film. And this is amazing because obviously there's no Michael A. Jordan. It's just Michael B. Jordan playing both twins.
Correct.
And so Smoke rolls a cigarette, passes it to Stack. No, Stack
Passes it to
passes
Smoke.
it to Smoke.
Yeah.
And then they like pass it back again. And it's pretty amazing because the editing that they had to do to get that scene done is like pretty cool, especially because they shot this on film. So this wasn't like digital where you could like go in and alter. Like this was on film, so they had to like kind of cut everything together just right.
Whoa.
And then of course they can go back in and like of course they digitally added things like but it was just like an amazing scene. I mean, it puts the Parent Trap to shame, like, which I love the Parent Trap, but it's just one of those movies where like you have these twins, and I think the Parent Trap is an amazing movie, to be honest.
I have not seen it.
You haven't seen the Parent Trap? Oh my God, Joanne, we have to watch the Parent Trap.
Okay,
it's such a good time. I love it.
Okay, I'm down for it. I'm down.
Like Lindsay Lohan and
yeah, she was
I think
little.
people at the time thought that that it was twins, but it was just Lindsay Lohan.
Queen.
But anyway, so the editing's amazing. That scene is so good. And then also at the end of the film, after everything's gone down, you see Smoke trying to roll up a cigarette and he's struggling. Like he can't because it was his brother that would roll them.
Yes. Can we talk about that scene real quick?
Yeah.
Actually, the ending scene where he takes out a whole like platoon of KKK members.
Platoon.
Like I enjoy that scene so much.
Yeah.
And I think he was ready to go, so that's why he was so brazen. And I honestly think that Smoke could have killed all of them and still lived.
I thought he was gonna make it.
No, I definitely got the vibe of him like, this is my last.
Yeah.
This is my last bit.
Well, especially because, you know, like at that point you've like met Annie and you know that they've lost
a son.
their son or daughter.
I think it's
I can't remember.
I think it's a son.
Yeah.
But his brother's gone.
Yeah.
And the love of his life is gone.
Yeah.
His son is gone. I definitely got the sense this was a suicide mission for him, that he wasn't planning on making it out. I think he could have.
Yeah.
But this is my favorite because it's like, it's the juxtaposition of like the violence that Black people had to endure to find then peace.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that's a very powerful message.
And I also think it's like interesting because the whole night they have this enemy, like the vampires.
Yeah.
And then during the day they have this different enemy.
Yep.
It's like, can't
Completely
catch a break.
different. Yeah, exactly.
I think that's
one thing after another.
Yes, exactly. And then also like I think I forgot to like close out my thought, but like from the beginning they buy this like butcher place. The vampire figures out where they are, so that's where they end up. But they maybe would have had this fight or this bad fight anyway because the clan originally, like, that man was going to come back.
Yes.
Like, they had already planned to come back. That's why the vampire knew to come. And he tells them at one point, he's like, they're going to come here for you. Like, I know because of his nephew that they're going to come here and kill you.
Right.
And so it's crazy.
They
I also
wouldn't have
love
made it
whenever this white dude keeps calling them, like, what are you boys doing here? And he's like, they're like, we're men. Like, what do you mean?
Well, boy was definitely that was like, slur.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that was a slur back then. Even now, I think, depending on the way you use it, like if you call someone boy, you better be ready. Like, that's horrible. Anyway, I really enjoyed the image of him holding his son. I thought that was such a great way to end his story.
Yeah.
And I just want to hold space for that. Okay, so if you didn't, you should definitely watch this video, at least for this one part. Okay, so, what's, my good? Okay.
Yeah, yes, you're good.
Honestly, the best thing for me for this movie is the pacing. Like, honestly, I think it's absolutely perfect. Like, the pacing for this movie.
Oh, yes.
Is, like, I think people should study this film and like base the pacing of their films off of this. It gave us just enough to fall in love with every single character.
And to feel like you know them.
And to feel like you know them.
Like they establish the characters so
you know
well.
These people for less than 24 hours. Yeah. And you can identify, feel for them, every single one. And just enough to be afraid of the vampires. Yeah. Like, he does that so well. the designs of the characters, costumes, the glowing eyes.
costumes.
Hello.
The
Oh my
costumes are
god.
insane.
Literally every single person who worked on this film
Yeah.
ate.
Also, and then the music.
The music.
The music.
The music was so incredible.
The music was
Everything
amazing.
was perfectly planned and executed in this movie. It is honestly a perfect movie for me. The characters and your journey with them is truly what makes this movie shine the most.
Yeah.
You go through this entire day with them. And at the end, when post-credit scene, when Sammy's talking to Stack, he says something along the lines of, at least once a week, I wake up in the middle of the night terrified. But before the sun went down, that was the best day of my life.
Damn.
And I almost cried actually when I heard that
Yeah.
the first time, because it was, and then you see all these shots of him going through the day, and then Stack just goes, yeah, me too. And it was just such a heartfelt moment.
Yeah, and
it was
at
just
the
such an
end of
incredible.
the film, I don't know if it's before or after he's fighting the clan, but you see a compilation, I don't think that's the right word, but you see a bunch of scenes from throughout the day when they're putting the juke joint together, and it's all these people working together, they're painting the sign and everything.
Yeah.
I think it's right before smoke dies, and it's just
No, it's beautiful.
it was so beautiful.
I think what makes this movie great is the characters.
Yes.
Every single one of the characters. You even, for me, based on what we spoke earlier about loss of culture and connecting with your ancestors and your roots and stuff like that, I even started feeling for Remick the vampire.
You definitely
I felt sorry for him.
Empathize with him, and there's something there. And I also love the scene where they're dancing in a circle.
In the circle, yeah.
And the song that they're singing is "Rocky Road to Dublin," which is an Irish song that's really popular. And it was
Rocky Road to Dublin. Mm-hmm. Oh wow! So see, even the song signifies connecting with your ancestors and your home.
In the song, as it kind of progresses, you can start to hear elements of other cultures in the song. Even though they're all dancing in unison,
yes,
you start to hear all
it's
these other
the
things.
bringing together of that.
Yeah,
brilliant.
It's insane. It's actually crazy.
God. Anyway, what's your bad?
My bad, nothing. I don't have anything.
Great. Same.
What's your bad?
And now I did put in that I want a spin-off with the Native American vampire hunters.
Absolutely. No, yes.
Now, this was not a Native American movie. It was a black movie, and I respect it for that.
Yeah.
So, but I want
Absolutely.
I want a spin-off.
Yeah. But I think for that movie to be made, I think we would need a Native American director.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're specifically the Choctaw.
Or some type of
collab
consulting person or something to really be genuine and true to that storyline.
Yeah.
But there's nothing I can think of that is bad about this movie.
No.
To be honest.
I also, like I said,
bad.
I want a prequel about Remick.
Remick.
I want Remick
Honestly,
1,000
Kugler,
years ago. I want Remick in the dark ages.
Can we have a Sinner cinematic universe?
We need a Sinner cinematic universe. A cinematic universe.
A Scoo.
Scoo.
What's your spooky?
My spooky, I think it's the helplessness of these individuals when they're faced with a foe and they're totally outmatched. I mean, these vampires, other than the fact that they can't get in unless they're invited, they're stronger, they're faster, they can perfectly work together because it's a hive mind. It's terrifying. But they still manage to win, and it's because of music. I mean, Sammy smacks Remick with his guitar, and his guitar happens to have this, silver plate on it. And that's what, helps him out in the end. But it's that helplessness of them being inside of this juke joint, and there's all these vampires outside, and there's so many of them. Mm-hmm. They're completely outnumbered, they're completely outmatched. It's what do you do?
I love that scene, and I love that you brought it up, because Sammy goes back to what his papa taught him, which is saying the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah.
Thinking that might help him. Honestly, I thought he was going to bless the river and it was going to become holy water. But that did not happen, obviously. And then Remick starts saying the Lord's Prayer with him.
Yeah.
And he says something that is so it resonated so much with me, which was like, oh yes, these are like false words from some like basically colonizer that was meant to bring comfort, but instead it just like destroyed my cultures. It was something along those lines where I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Like the things now that we're like, yes, like praise God and like Jesus Christ is my savior or whatever. Like those things were taught through trauma.
Yeah. For sure.
And to be fair, still brings trauma to people to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's stuff you carry with you.
A lot of people have like the guilt and stuff like that. Anyway, not to get too much into
or
that
like,
again.
Like genetically, you literally like take that trauma with you, like, and you
Yeah.
pass it down. Like,
Yeah.
that's an actual thing. I
Yeah.
forgot what it's called. Is
I
it
don't know
epigenetics? I don't think it's epigenetics. But
Well, it's generational trauma.
Yeah.
Like it's just like you were like wrested from your culture, and now you have to deal with this
Yeah.
like generational trauma of your ancestors
Yeah.
being. Anyway.
And I think also,
So-
like, aside from the vampires, like, even just with the clan, like, this differential of power between, like, the white people and the black people in Jim Crow era
Yep.
Mississippi. I mean, even in the North, like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
even now, like,
Yes,
so
even
it's just, like, this imbalance of power, and, like, that's scary.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, very much so. And but I thought it was interesting that the white vampire from Ireland could also identify with that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, anyway, it
Yeah.
was such a great scene and an incredible line.
Yeah.
Did Coogler write this?
he wrote it.
God,
Yeah,
he's a
he
genius.
wrote it.
He's a genius. Okay.
He is.
For me, my spooky, I've already sort of like beat this, dead horse or whatever the heck. Is like the connection to your roots and like not knowing how or where to do it. Like
Yeah.
even if I wanted to reconnect, it would be such a difficult thing for me to do because the knowledge has been lost.
Yeah.
It's been destroyed, literally. It's like this emptiness of culture, right? Which is very personal to me.
Yeah.
And of course, like you said, the vampires, incredible.
Yeah.
Like these are actually spooky vampires to me as well.
I think so.
I watched the really interesting. So okay, so in the current political climate where the federal government is trying to defund like
Everything.
NPR and PBS, like
Yeah.
public media, right?
National parks.
Hello, I mean, like, come on, bro. Like, there's a reason why we funded these things in the first place. Okay,
Yeah.
like we should just we need to reconnect with those roots, really.
Mm-hmm.
But so PBS has this YouTube channel called Storied,
Mm-hmm.
and I sent you one of the videos on. It was like one of their shows called Other Words, which deals with like linguistics
Yes.
and the evolution of
Yeah.
like words and stuff like that and languages. There was one. They have another show called Monstrum, where they do like monster story, like where do these monsters come from?
Yeah,
Like the
that's-
history of the
oh,
zombie, the
that's
history of the
awesome.
werewolf, the history of the vampire, and I watched that. And there was an episode on vampires and how we alternate between spooky vampire and sexy vampire. And
Yes. Yes.
and so they, part of that is like right now in this era that we're at, we're doing a little bit of both spooky and sexy vampire.
That's so funny.
And
yeah.
I feel like Remick definitely fits
yeah.
into that. Like,
Well, I
he's
think-
a little sexy because he's got like the confidence. Like, come on, baby, I'll give you some gold. Do you want to be part of
I
this
think
hive mind?
it's also so interesting that the fear from these vampires, like, I just thought about it right now, but it's not like you're not afraid that they're gonna kill you. You're afraid that they're gonna steal your identity from
Right,
you. Like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
where
yeah.
the fear comes from because that's not the goal. Like they're not out here like drinking the blood to like kill everybody. Like everybody's still alive and aware and they're still sort of themselves,
Yeah.
but they're part of this hive mind.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. It's so weird. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
This movie's amazing.
And before we
honestly.
move on to the rating, I really just want to say that obviously this is a fairly long movie, and it's so full and rich of themes, metaphors, and symbolism. We obviously could not get to absolutely
Yeah.
everything. What is Smoke's ex-girlfriend's name?
Mary.
No.
Yeah. Like Haley Steinfeld?
Smoke's ex-wife.
Oh, Annie?
What's her name? Annie. Yeah, okay. Like, I love her character so much, and I'm kind of sad that we didn't get to talk about her.
Yes.
Because obviously she does, like, the voodoo stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
she has that
She's like a
past
medicine woman, yeah.
Yeah, she's probably the most connected to her roots, right? So I'm a little sad we didn't get to talk about her
Yeah.
because she is such an interesting character. All the characters are extremely interesting, so I'm a little sad we didn't get to talk about them like that.
Yeah,
but
or like Haley Steinfeld's character and like
Mary.
the role that
Yeah.
the role that she plays as like a white person who's
yes,
I think the only word that comes to mind is she's like an ally.
she's an ally.
She's an ally.
She's
and
like family is what they call
She's family,
her.
and she is part black, and Haley Steinfeld is actually part black, like in real life.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I didn't know, but that's cool. So it was really interesting.
Yeah, her character is like a window into this like duality of like she can operate in white society.
Yes. But she makes it dangerous for them. Like like her being in those spaces, like that puts the juke joint, which was like full of black people, like, and this one white woman, like that puts her in danger. I mean, how many times has like a white woman like been like a victim and then a bunch of white people come in and kill a black person? I mean,
and that might have been the excuse they'd have used the next day.
Exactly.
So well, even the harmonica player, what's his name? Delta Slim?
Yeah, Slim.
Yeah, Delta Slim. Yeah, Slim. You know, he tells the story of how his friend whom he played music with was robbed and killed by white men, lynched by white men, and they blamed it on he like raped some white woman.
Yeah.
And it was like obviously not true. That's just the excuse they used, and everyone just took it.
Yeah.
And you know, that's
how it was.
That's how it was,
Yeah.
and you're absolutely right. So I'm sad we didn't get to talk about all these characters, but obviously, you know, the episode can be too long. We're already like at a minute 15 or whatever.
An hour 15.
A minute, yeah. I know.
We talked
That's
really
quite a minute.
fast.
That's quite a minute. Yeah. Okay, so let's rate this movie. What would you rate this movie, Mar? Let's rate this movie, and how many vampires would be in your Irish river dance circle?
Are we?
Is it Irish river dance circle or Irish river dance circle?
Riverdance dance circle. I mean, if the limit is 5, I would have 5. If the limit is 10, I would have 10.
Yeah.
I rated this.
If the limit was 1,000, it would be 1,000.
Yeah,
for me.
this is.
Yeah.
Perfect film.
This is a 10
in
out of
my
10,
opinion. It's 10 out of 10. It
100%.
was so well executed.
Yes.
Original. Oh, amazing! I loved it.
No, it was great.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's see.
What about you? What did you rate?
Yeah,
Okay.
1,000%.
Okay,
like
perfect.
1,000 out of 1,000.
1,000 out of 1,000.
Now let's see if Letterboxd agrees with our ratings. In this section, we read memorable Letterboxd reviews that are interesting, especially insightful, or downright hilarious. Mar, take it away.
Okay, so this is Joe A, who rated it 4.5 stars. Okay, Joe.
I don't get it.
Okay.
No, I think this movie has 4.2 in Letterboxd, which does not make any sense to me. It
I
definitely
agree.
should be higher.
Okay, that one sequence, you'll know it when you see it. Magnum opus type scene, spirit awakening type scene, inspirational, foundational, monumental. And yes.
I love this because what scene is he talking about for you?
It's the dance scene. The
Okay,
dance sequence.
yeah. Same here.
For
Okay,
sure.
good.
For sure. What about this next one?
Okay, so this is by Hajduk.
Hajduk.
Finally, they cast Michael A. Jordan in something. I love that joke. I will never get tired of it.
That'll be funny every time. Okay, this is Mac. There's a bunch of signs in between it. It's like a little
Mac,
asterisk and then okay. This is from Mac. Standing ovulation. I mean ovation. Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Some of
That's
these
so
characters
funny.
are yeah.
Okay, last one.
And last one by Jer. Vampires be like, I'm fighting demons, and the demons be horniness.
That's so funny.
And that about does it for today. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed the podcast, tell your friends about us. And don't forget to rate us 5 stars in whatever app or podcast service you use to bring on the spooks.
Please follow us on our socials by going to scarymovienights.com. Our 2 most used social media platforms right now are Instagram and Facebook. Just search Scary Movie Nights on either platform and you'll find us.
You can also message us through our socials or by sending an email to spooky@scarymovienights.com. Tell us what you think about Sinners. Did you watch it? Was it your thing? How many vampires would be in your Irish river dance circle?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm Joanne.
I'm Mariana.
And thanks for joining us for another Scary Movie Night. See you in 2 weeks. Stay spooky.
Stay spooky.
Woo. I thought I changed that. Wait, I thought I had
My
changed
brother.
that for sure.